A Supreme Court blow to Harper's Senate reforms, a controversial McDonald's makeover, and tying up digital loose ends. Welcome to Globe Now, I'm Afan Chaudhry. Ronald McDonald has gotten a makeover. Sure, you might remember him as the slightly creepy clown of your childhood who first stepped onto the stage back in 1963. But a more social media savvy and slightly hipsterish clown is required in the age of selfies. The new Ronald was unveiled earlier this week. The announcement came in the midst of the temporary foreign worker scandal that McDonald's has been tied up in. But much to labor activists' chagrin, the makeover has gotten just as much, if not more buzz. The fast food clown's new look comes courtesy of award-winning Broadway costume designer Anne Hould Ward. The big red shoes are staying, by the way. And of course, as with any makeover, people have had some strong reactions. Now, Ronald McDonald is by no means the first mascot to get a spruce-up and modern makeover. It happened to the Maytag Man, and to Mr. Clean. And remember the Sun-Maid girl? Well, she went from boring grape maiden to glamour girl. So are people going to buy the Ronald McDonald makeover? Well, for some, it's still about the food. Now to a big court ruling. Ottawa can't change the Senate alone. That was the unanimous decision from the Supreme Court of Canada Friday morning. But does this spell the end of Harper's Senate reform efforts? The Globe's chief political writer, Campbell Clark, joins me now from Ottawa to discuss. Welcome, Campbell. What does this ruling mean?
Well, it means that changing the Senate in any substantial way is going to be a tall order politically and constitutionally, because reforming it, electing it, will require the approval of 7 provinces with half the population, and they don't agree on the type of reform they would like. And abolishing it would require the approval of all the provinces, and there's some premiers who will stand in the way of that. So that means it's not going to be an easy task politically and constitutionally to ever get this done.
So what does this ruling mean for Stephen Harper then?
Well, it means he has a difficulty fulfilling a promise he's long made to, reform the Senate. And he's basically got 3 options. One, he could say, we're blocked. The courts have blocked us, and, essentially give up and say, we were blocked. The second is he could engage in negotiations with the provinces, open up the Constitution, but that's a real political can of worms. And the third is essentially he can tilt at windmills. He can complain that premiers who don't want to abolish, he could go out to abolish the Senate, complain that premiers who are getting in the way are blocking him, pressure them, maybe even run a non-binding referendum to get Canadians to vote for abolishing the Senate, and then use that sort of political mojo as a wedge issue that will help him politically.
Interesting. I mean, this is a government that has been bogged down with the Senate scandal and looking for a way out, looking for a way to change the channel. How does this affect that?
Yeah, it is something that he really needs to be able to do to show some kind of action on the Senate that keeps on going. It was the scandal last year with senators that he appointed, Mike Duffy, Patrick Brazeau, Pamela Wallin, really did sort of hurt his credibility. And the one thing that Mr. Harper had going for him, or one of the big things he had going for him, was his party was never in favor of the Senate. He didn't want a Senate. He wanted to change it or get rid of it. And he needs to keep that going somehow. Perhaps that is going to lead him into sort of campaigning against the premiers, the ones that are insisting on the status quo. But he needs to keep the ball rolling. Maybe he'll find some other lesser way to make changes in the Senate, but he can't just let this sit at the status quo.
Well, thank you so much, Campbell.
Thank you.
So we want to hear from you. How important is Senate reform to Canadian politics? And do you think the court has made the right decision? Tweet us at Globe Now. Moving on to something a little somber. Preparing for death means creating a will. But who takes care of your life on the internet when you die? With so much of our personal lives now online, it's a question companies have already looked into. The Globe's technology editor, Shane Dingman, explains.
I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but you're going to die one day. Everyone does. But what I want to know is what happens to all your digital stuff, your online persona, when you pass away? Let's take Gmail. To get access to a deceased family member's account, you need a death certificate, obits, maybe a court order, after which they may still block your access. Most services won't even go that far, they just let you request an account deactivation. If you happen to be thinking ahead, Google has an inactive account service that lets you prepare for that digital handover when you're dead. Facebook lets you memorialize your account, freezing in place your last moments and turning your wall into a sort of memory book where people can leave messages. several sites have experimented with the idea of not just freezing your online activity, but keeping it going, like some sort of digital zombie. The LiveZon service claims that it will analyze and create a model of your tweeting behavior while you're alive, so that when you are dead and buried, a relative can decide whether your account should continue to update on your behalf. The London-based company's motto is, "When your heart stops beating, you'll keep tweeting." It used to be that when you died, your survivors just had to dig through boxes of your stuff. Now they have to deal with a vast amount of data that we've pumped into the online world. Digital estate management is likely to become part of the routine of getting your affairs in order. For the record, when I'm gone, delete everything.
Well, that's it for Globe Now. Thanks for watching. Tell us what you think of Ronald McDonald's new makeover. Is it chic or just creepy? And do you agree with the Supreme Court ruling on Senate reform? Tweet us what you think at Globe Now. Thanks again. I'm Afan Chaudhry.